Hari Om to all. So welcome to our Sunday Prakarana Grantha. Today, as I said, we were going to finish today with the Panchakoshas. So let's begin first with our opening prayers and the first and final verses of the Tattvabodha, the prayer verses and Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ. Hari Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dayakaram Dayakaram Dantam Dharma Pravartakam Pranamami Dayanandam Madacharya Varam Param. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Vidhiyate Sarva Vedānta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sat Gurum Pranatosmyaham. So we were on ānandamayakośasya, and a very nice kosha to be in. Unfortunately, in these next few verses, we'll see Ānandamaya is not so active in waking state, Adi Shankaracharya says. It is more active in deep sleep. So we were seeing last week, Ānanda Pratibimba Chumbita Tanur Vrittis Tamo Jrimbita. syādānandamayaḥ priyādiguṇakaḥ sveṣṭārthalābhodayaḥ puṇyasyānubhave vibhāti. This is the verse we had seen last time. kṛtināmānandarūpaḥ svayaṃ sarvo nandati yatra sādhu tanubhṛnmātraḥ prayatnaṃ vinā. So in this verse, Adi Shankaracharya in the Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ 207th verse, he had said ānandamayakośasya is modified ignorance, and it appears as the reflection of the self. And what are the attributes? He says in this verse, pleasure, etc. are its attributes, and it comes into view when an agreeable object or situation happens in your life. And the fortunate feel it immediately. Fortunate meaning the ones who have more punya, when the fruits of their good actions manifest. Everything without the least effort, and that ananda, you get great joy from the ānandamayakośasya. So from this verse, we saw that ānandamayakośasya is dependent on punya. And what have we understood about punya? We have understood that punya is something which is temporary. Punya, again to reiterate, means the results of your actions manifesting in your life as pleasant situations. So punya refers to the invisible results of your actions which manifests in your life as pleasant and agreeable, pleasurable situations. So punya, this ānandamayakośasya, he says, is because only of punya. So what is the inference now? Logical inference is, it is temporary. If punya is temporary, ānandamayakośasya is also temporary. So he says, puṇyasyānubhave vibhāti. It arises when situations conducive to it arising manifest. So it is a conditional happiness, a conditional pleasure. The ānanda, we saw last time different modifications of the thought forms which have different levels of joy, different levels of happiness. So situations have to be in a certain way for the Ānandamaya kosha to come up. And what do you experience? You experience joy. And who does this Ānandamaya kosha come for? He says, kṛtināmānandarūpaḥ, which means for people who have accumulated punya. So even that you should see, I've said this before, when you are in Ānandamaya kosha, you are exhausting your punya account. Your punya is going down. So every time you have a moment of joy, be careful. The good account that you're trying to gain is actually reducing. So it's like your bank balance. In anything you buy also, you have to spend some money to get an object, right? So there's always some loss to the gain you get. Here it works the same way. The gain you get is a moment of joy. What is the loss? The loss may be financial, it may be in other ways also, but the invisible loss for you is your punya account comes down. So he says here, svayaṃ sarvo nandati. People revel in this ānandamaya. They love that. You love that sense of joy. You love the sense of pleasure. But it is experiential pleasure. If you have experiential pleasure, what do we understand? You will definitely have experiential pain, because both come two sides of one coin. Living means pain and pleasure, sorrow and joy. We cannot have one without the other. So, Ānandamaya kosha limitations, although it sounds very nice, and although we love to invoke it constantly in our lives in the waking state, Adi Shankaracharya warns it is not very good for us all the time, right? It's exhausting. So you have to discover a happiness which is not dependent happiness. It is not conditional happiness. So it has got nothing to do with punya karma, okay? So the next verse is 208 of Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ. He says, ānandamayakośasya suṣuptau sphūrtirutkaṭā swapna jagarayor ishat ishta sandarshanādina ānandamayakośasya sphūrtihi. So again, he's just reiterating the main place, the dominant time in our life when Ānandamaya kosha is active. Adi Shankaracharya says in Suṣupti Avastha. It is active, but when? In deep sleep. It manifests in deep sleep state. When it manifests, what happens to the other kosha? They're all sleeping. All the other four koshas are sleeping. Ānandamaya kosha in deep sleep state manifests. And we love that because there is no I in deep sleep. There's no problems in deep sleep. There's no attachment in deep sleep. No worries in deep sleep. No job in deep sleep. Absolutely, ignorance is bliss. There's a saying in English, ignorance is bliss is talking about Ānandamaya kosha, especially in deep sleep. So it is not so active in waking state or in dream state. It is dominant in deep sleep alone, he says. And in waking state, how does it manifest? So he reiterates, Ishat ishta spurtihi bhavati. There are brief, Ishat ishta, it's like brief manifestations when Ānandamaya kosha shines forth. And when do you see it? Sandarshanādina. When do you see it? You see it when you gain or experience an object of your desire. So we have already seen this in a different way, but when you gain an object of your desire or you go through a pleasurable experience, the seeking you is resolved. There is no wanting you. There is no you with the sense of lack, with the sense of smallness, with the sense of feelings inadequate. That is what we get when we fulfill desire. So when we enjoy objects of pleasure, what happens? We forget ourselves for the time being. I said yesterday in the satsanga, all of life is lived in order to forget the self. Which self am I talking about? All of our activities is to forget that small individual self that I take myself to be. Every time I keep busy, it is because I don't want to remember that small self. I rush out because I want to forget myself. People don't, if you, I can imagine you're having a conversation with people who don't know Vedanta. Suppose you take them to a coffee shop. Say, why are you running around like this? You're trying to forget yourself. Can you imagine? People will say, get lost. Don't talk to me about this. Because nobody can see that is what is happening. People don't want to accept that is what they're doing in their lives. But with a little discernment, one can easily perceive, I am not happy, comfortable being with myself. That is why I'm driven to activities all the time. So here, this is what he's saying, that ānandamayakośasya comes when I get this enjoyment in life. I forget myself. And in the self-forgetting, what also happens in self-forgetting, all the wrong notions are also gone. They're dissolved. In the self-forgetting, all the negative emotions are at abeyance. All the feelings about myself, the negative feeling, I'm not good enough, nobody loves me, I don't have anybody in the jagat. All of those feelings are in the background, in self-forgetting. Those are the feelings I'm not able to face. So in ānandamayakośasya, negative emotions are suspended. There are no problems, there are no worries. And in that moment of joy, as I said, all the four koshas are forgotten. Even in the waking state, your vijnanamaya kosha is forgotten, your manomaya kosha is forgotten, your pranamaya kosha is forgotten, annamaya kosha is forgotten. You don't even know in a moment of joy whether just think about it. Have you, experienced this moment of joy where, you've been very hungry, you wanted some food, then suddenly somebody tells a wonderful joke and you can't stop laughing. And in that moment of joy, you forget your hunger. You forget you have to pay your electricity bills. You forget, you forget the landlord is going to evict you. You forget everything when you laugh. So in that moment of joy, laughter, the ānandamayakośasya comes up. You forget your individuality. In that moment, that is called Advaita. That is why Advaita means subject-object duality is not there in moments of joy. And we love that. And what everybody wants is that resolution, because your individuality is gone for the moment. But in the waking state, the problem is what? It is temporary. It is temporary. In yoga, they have the last step as nirvikalpa samadhi. In yoga, they discover this resolution of subject-object. They discover that through closing their eyes and their senses to the world. So yogis meditate, and we have many stories of anthills forming around them. You read the Puranas, you'll see all these sages sitting in meditation. They're in samadhi because they have resolved duality in that state. There is no duality in the state. So it is, but what's the problem there? Problem is, once they come out, they start cursing left, right, and center. So all the Puranas also, you will find the moment the rishis are awakened from their samadhi, they will say, who did this? Who put the snake around my neck? I will make sure you will not live. You're going to die. You're going to be bitten by a snake and you'll die in 7 days. They will curse like that because you come back with your stuff. You have not resolved anything. You've resolved duality. You have not resolved mithyatvam. It is not through knowledge. So this ānandamayakośasya in waking state, it can come, and it is possible through conditions which are conducive. But in knowledge, what is the difference? In knowledge, it is not a state. It is not conditional on the world being there or not there. In yogi's meditation, the world is kept out. It is not even allowed to enter. In Vedanta knowledge, world is very much there, but you are in open-eyed samadhi. That is the real difference. Open-eyed samadhi, despite duality, you understand Advaita. So the presence of the world does not affect you when you have knowledge. Whether the world is there or not, it doesn't affect you. Once the knowledge of oneness is assimilated, it is like you see a blue sky, right? But scientifically, the sky is not really blue. You know that. You see a sun rise, but scientifically, does the sun really rise? You see the sunrise, but knowing it doesn't really rise doesn't disturb you, does it? You still enjoy the sunrise, even if somebody says to you, "What a beautiful sunrise." You know inside, the sun is not really rising. We are traveling around the sun. You know that, but you enjoy the sunrise. You tell the person, "Oh, what a beautiful sunrise." Same way, mirage. If you see a mirage in the desert, you see a beautiful lake, in the mirage. You know it's not real, but you can enjoy the mirage. So the idea is the world cannot affect your knowledge and understanding. This is the difference between yoga and Vedanta. In yoga, nirvikalpa samadhi, I shut, the world is kept out. But in Vedanta, nirvikalpa jnanam, that is eyes open and world is understood as mithya. So this is the verse on ānandamayakośasya. And one more thing from Tattvabodha. Here in Tattvabodha, he adds karana sharira bhuta avidyasta malina sattvam. So these are all technical terms. I'm not going into technical things, but we just understand ānandamayakośasya is linked to karanamayakośasya in the other prakriya, other methodology. Both are the same. Ānandamaya, Karana Shariram, they are both avidya. They're born of ignorance. The root is ignorance because you don't know your swarupa. So ānandamayakośasya, although we go after it again and again, it is born of ignorance because it keeps you in the cycle of samsara. You see, now you can understand. What are we doing things for? We are not doing things for anybody else. We're doing things for ānandamayakośasya. Everything is for your ānandamayakośasya. So all the other koshas work to make ānandamayakośasya rise. And that is the ignorance, because it cannot be there for the length of time you will it to be there. It will be there as long as your punya lasts. Are you in charge of your punya manifestation? No. We know Ishvara's karma paladata. Your punya appears according to your karma. So you can't call all the shots in life. You can't wish for Anandamaya to be there all the time. But if you understand, you lend existence to Anandamaya, you lend existence to all the other koshas, then you are free. You are always the nature of happiness. So in the next verse, the final verse of ānandamayakośasya, the 209th verse, he says here, Naivayam ānandamayaḥ paramatma or paratma sopadikatvat prakriter vikarat karyatva heto sukrita kriyaya vikara sangata samahitatvat Naivayam ānandamayaḥ paratma. What does that mean? This ānandamayakośasya is not Atma. It is not Paramatma. Because, and what is, as we have seen, we take Atma erroneously to be happy in degrees. It is not true. Atma is Sat-Chit Ananda Swarupa. It is the nature of happiness, existence, consciousness, limitlessness. It is its nature of, limitless joy. It is not happy in degrees. It pervades in and through all the other koshas. So we take it erroneously to be this Ānandamaya. He says here, it is not Anand, it is not Paramatma, it is not Atma. Prakriter vikarat. Why? Because ānandamayakośasya, experiential pleasure. Where do we experience pleasure? Do I experience pleasure in my left toe on my right foot? Do I experience pleasure, maybe on my elbow? Every time I experience pleasure, does my elbow suddenly light up? And I feel, oh, enjoy. I wiggle my elbow at people. Oh, I'm so happy. No. Where do I feel pleasure? I feel pleasure here. Pleasure is a mental modification. And the mind made of thoughts, the Shastra says, is Prakriti. It is Prakriti. Prakriti, made of Prakriti, means matter. The mind is matter, And what do we understand of matter? Matter is mithya. Matter is, as the real, matter is always changing. It is modifiable. Matter is modifiable. So, Atma cannot be matter. Atma is more than that. Atma lends existence to matter. So, mind, this ananda, this experiential pleasure, these are the, he gives just some arguments to say why Atma cannot be this experiential happiness. It is permanent happiness, and mind is only a modification of matter. So, with that, the Ānandamayakośasya, I am going to bring to a close. You understand the limitations now of being an Ānandamayakośasya. So when you're in that joyful state, just be aware. It is not that you don't enjoy. You can enjoy life, enjoy everything, enjoy a laugh, enjoy a joke, enjoy whatever Bhagavan unfolds for you. But you're in your mind, you are very clear, this is not permanent joy. Because when you understand it is not permanent joy, you are not going to suffer disappointment when it goes. The problem is, I suffer disappointment because it goes. And every time it happens, I think I get shocked. Why should we get shocked when it's meant to go? There should be no shock when sukha goes. But every time it goes, oh, why? I was so happy just 5 minutes ago. Why am I feeling sad? No, now you can see it very nicely, technically. I was in Ānandamaya Kosha 5 minutes, but it's going to change. I'll enjoy Ānandamaya. Now I'm in Vijnanamaya or I'm in Manomaya. Why not? I is shifting between 5 koshas throughout the day, right? You are not in one kosha in all the time, if you look at the eye, 1 minute it is invested in the physical Annamaya kosha. When you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning and you say, oh, I've got a bit of fat here now, or oh, I've put on weight here. Where is the eye identified? With your Annamaya. Then you say, oh, I'm hungry. Suddenly stomach starts rumbling. I'm so hungry. I need food. Where is eye? Eye has already shifted from Annamaya. It has gone to Pranamaya. And the next moment, oh, I want this. I want that. Desire starts happening. Then you start getting active. I saw this on TV. I'm going to get it. I have to order it on Amazon. I have shifted to Manomaya Kosha. So in that moment, every time you shift to a kosha, your other koshas are forgotten, right? In that moment when you have. So you look at that. So you're shifted to Manomaya Kosha. And of course, Vijnanamaya Kosha is always there because Vijnanamaya is I. I pervades all of that. The Vijnanamaya Kosha and decides the Vijnanamaya Kosha whether you're going to order from Amazon or you're going to go out shopping. That Vijnanamaya Kosha makes the decision. And when you get the object, Ānandamaya, oh, I'm so happy, I got it. Or one day, you're shifting in the 5 koshas. And all that shifting of the I is what is erroneous shifting. I does not shift, in fact. So that is why it's called erroneous identification on 5 levels. It is not 5 covers. It is mistake you make on 5 levels. So now we have seen this methodology. We can see how the Tattvabodha and Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ tell us the levels of errors we commit. Panchakosha. If we go back to the Tattvabodha verse, Panchakosha atitaha. The Panchakosha atitaha means that Atma is beyond the 5 koshas. It transcends it. at the same time, it is unaffected by the five koshas. Stula sukshma karana sharirat vyatiriktaha. Atma is not, it is distinct from the stula, from the gross body, from the sukshma, from the subtle body, and from the karana shariram, from the causal body. Avastatraya sakshi. It is the witness of all the three states of experience that you have. It's the witness of all three states. So these are the three main methodologies that are used in throughout the texts in the Upanishads, in the Prakarana Granthas, to understand Atma. So the question was, Atma kaha, if you remember in Tattvabodha, what is Atma? And what did we discover? In that question, the answer to that question, the Guru tells the disciple everything Atma is not. So that reveals what? You have to follow negation first. Negate what Atma is not in order to discover what Atma is. Because only when everything is taken away will you be able to see what is left out. And what is left out, you don't really need to see because it is not object of perception. It is self-revealing. It is self-shining. So very beautifully now, we have done this Viveka, we have done this discriminative analysis of all the methodologies we have seen. And what is left out after this? Pure consciousness, yourself. All that remains now is yourself. Satchit Ananda Swarupaha Atma. And that we will see at a later stage what this is. Okay. Hari Om. Namaste to all. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.